It's always funny to me that whenever you have a good foundation set in place, when you created a good product or a good brand, you tend to want to change things up as you start to release new things. And on sometimes those new things tend to be very controversial, especially with Ghost of Yotei when it comes to the voice actress being a very radical activist that could possibly influence the game. That will have to wait, only time will tell. But it's funny that we had Jin Sakai, a character that was beloved and even grew a cult following, with many of us wanting to see his story continue and hoping that, a second Mongol invasion took place and seeing how that all played out. But instead, we saw Sucker Punch go in a completely different direction. And now we are apparently having Sony executives panicking over the somewhat mixed reaction to the game, as well as apparently developers being blindsided by the new female character, which I think is absolutely baloney. And before we get into this article, please don't forget to subscribe, like or dislike, it doesn't matter. It helps with engagement, and I much appreciate it. And when it comes to Sony being not happy with Ghost of Yotei, these are the same people that greenlit Concord and spent $200 million developing the game over what? It was like 8 years, and the game launched and only stayed alive for about 2 weeks before being shut down completely. And yet, these people are unhappy with this game, even though they're the ones that more than likely greenlit it and kept watch on the production of the game, which makes it even more suspicious that apparently the developers were blindsided, even though these were the developers that were working on this game. And again, these are all just rumors coming from, once again, Edemian. So take this all with a grain of salt and probably a big one. A new rumor claims that Sony executives are seemingly not happy with the response to the announcement trailer for Ghost of Yotei, and that a number of developers were blindsided by the new female character Atsu. Now, when it comes to developers outside of Sucker Punch, I would absolutely agree with that because you had such a good foundation, such a good character and story in the first game, and people wanted to continue that. And again, this game, when it comes to the visuals of this new game, it looks stunning. Completely agreed with that. But why would you try to change things when they've already worked so well? Why not just continue on with what has been done in the past and what has worked when it comes to the overall population and accepting the product? Why don't you just continue to do that? Instead, we are continuing to see people try to leap and take these giant leaps that could either land or cause a giant disaster for the studio and even ruin the reputation of this new brand. And I don't think that a lot of people are hating that the female character is a female that you're going to be playing as. I think it's just that it's a lot of controversy that is taking place because once again, uh she's not a samurai, right? She's a ghost. She wants to do her own thing, so she's not tied to this legacy or the ways of the life during this time period when it comes to the Japanese people. So I don't think there should be a lot of controversy in that you're playing as a female character. The article continues. YouTuber Edemian shared this information from an alleged insider. He said, apparently, Ghost of Yotei blindsided many people that were working at Sony who were not made aware of what Sucker Punch was making. He added, and that people in the mid levels at Sony were actually confused when Yotei was announced because they were under the impression that Jin Sakai would be getting a sequel. And I think that's all of our impressions when it came to the sequel of the game was that there's going to be another Mongol invasion, but clearly that never took place. Ed Mian also shared, and they are not happy at all when it comes to the response of that game, either internally at Sony right now. And it's also important to think about if the original developing team is still intact over at Sucker Punch or if many of them have left. Because again, there are rumors that apparently most of the original dev team have already left the studio. And a lot of what is left is a lot of people that want to push these activism ideas. And when you're having the main character's voice actress being a giant activist, There could be some dilemma where they are going to influence activism within this game. But once again, at the end of the day, it is very important to not pre order the game before it's even released and wait for reviews to come out and see what the people are saying, not just the critics. Because at the end of the day, I think a lot of us are still hopeful that this game isn't going to be influenced by a lot of these agendas or these activism takes within it, but instead just again being another great product developed by hopefully a studio that is still intact that is able to create better products. And with all that in mind, don't forget to subscribe, like or dislike, and share, and I'll catch you all on the next one. Bye bye.